Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA, episode 344. I am Brendan. UFC 294, Mokaev versus Volkanovski prelims, right? There's going to be Tim Elliott versus Mohammad Mokaev. I'm going to cover the rest of the prelims here, go over each fight round by round. If you're looking for a specific fight, timestamps are down below. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. That way you know when the next video is coming out, and I'd appreciate it. All right, let's talk about this kid. Man, I was really worried about him the last time he fought, right? So Mohammad Mokaev, he was the one who got his knee just absolutely destroyed in a knee bar the last time he fought. Who did he fight? Hefel Filo. Yeah. So he ends up getting the win in that fight, which, you know, good on him for staying in, but I was really worried that it was kind of a stupid move to let your knee get destroyed for the possibility of getting a win. And then he does get the win, which is great. And it shows his toughness, which is great, but then he has to sit out longer. And he had aspirations of being the youngest champion in UFC history. That's not going to happen if you're sitting out for a year because of your knee being ripped apart and also the comeback. So I was worried to see how he came back here. So Elliott was soaking up the booze as he walked in. Elliott aggressive and awkward as usual. Elliott catches a kick and gets a takedown early. Mokaev is up after a minute and right back in his face. Mokaev failing on a takedown. Mokaev in on another takedown. Good sprawl from Elliott. Elliott lifts him and knees him in the head, playing that reach. Oh, okay. So Elliott wins this. Elliott outstrikes him in this round. So he was doing this thing where he would lift. You know, he had Mokaev in the front headlock. He would lift him up and then knee him in the head. Lift him up and then knee him in the head, right? And he did it, and Mokaev was touching the ground. His fingertips were touching the ground at one point. Whether it was instantaneous while he was touching it while the knees was there, they didn't go into detail enough. They didn't show the replay enough. I think his fingertips were down when he was being kneed. But we went over this. How is this still happening? We went over this the last time. Actually, the last 3 weeks that we've had this situation, right? But the championship fight with Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso, we had this happen. Grasso hit her with multiple knees in the head as Valentina Shevchenko's fingertips were on the ground, and we were told that you can't reach for the ground. It has to be supporting your weight. That's bullshit. We've had it happen on the Contender Series. We've had it happen now. Like, pick one. Pick one. We can't do this anymore. We can't do this. It's ruining fights. And it ruined a later round. Anyway, so the rest of this round, Mokaev is aggressive, swinging his way in and gets the second effort takedown, and Elliott working hard on a guillotine. So in this round, Mokaev might have won positionally for a little bit, but the thing is, the time that he spent on the ground, which was 1 minute and 36 seconds, the time that he spent on the ground in dominant position, or what you would consider dominant position, he was fighting out of a guillotine. Not a good round for him. Elliott clearly won the first round. Second round here, Mokaev going right for the takedown. Doesn't want to play with striking anymore, and he fell into guillotine again. Mokaev fights off the triangle with a lift and slam. Mokaev on top the whole round. He didn't do much with it. In fact, he fought off submissions from Elliott. Now, and Tim Elliott outstruck him on the feet too. This round, Mokaev was in control for 4 minutes and 56 seconds. Now, he did fight off 2 submissions in that time, and Elliott outstruck him. Look at the ground strikes even. The ground strikes in round 2. Listen, if you want an excellent example of why we... Okay, let me think about this before I just blurt out some stupid things. When I was watching this, I thought Mokaev won this round, right? So I had to 19-19. That being said, if you look at the data and we go off of the rules and what's supposed to be scored upon, Mokaev shouldn't have won this round. Just because you're in dominant position. He landed 3 ground strikes. Count them. 1, 2, 3 ground strikes. That's all he landed the entire round. He was nowhere near finishing Elliott. He was just in position, and he fought off 2 submissions. Now, if Elliott had not thrown up any submissions, now you can say, oh, well, you know, the damage was about equal, and he was in control the whole time. But he didn't do anything, and he had, I think... Oh, that slam. The slam did rock Elliott. Anyway, I scored it for Mokaev. But I'm just saying, like, if you want to go through and look at the rule set and say, hey, or the scoring criteria and say, like, why is somebody winning a certain round? This round's a really good one to dissect. Elliott knees him to the head again, and they're saying he was down, but his knee wasn't. The commentary team was so quick to jump on this one. He wasn't. He was in the catcher stance, right? Mokaev was in the catcher stance, right? Where it's like a deep, almost like an ass to grass squat. Guess what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how far you squat down. Your knee isn't touching the ground. Your arms aren't your hands aren't touching the ground, and your butt's not touching the ground. You're not a grounded opponent, dude. And because of that, they stop it and they end up giving the position back to Elliott, but it's not the same position. He had him pressed against the cage in that squatter's position, and he was kneeing him in the head. And you took that away from him. Like, Mokaev does this beautiful peek out. He hits this switch and this beautiful peek out and flips Elliott over. And holy crap, was that impressive. And he gets the arm triangle finish. Mokaev did what he was supposed to do. I don't think Mokaev did anything wrong in this fight. Okay, I think he looked great. I think he's a great talent. Seeing how he performed against Elliott here, I think he looked awesome. That being said, the frickin' referees are ruining some of these fights. Let them play out. If you're going to do this stuff, pay attention to what's actually going on. If you're worried about kneeing to the head of a grounded opponent, look for the keys that are going to make them grounded, right? Look for their butt being on the ground. Look for their knee being on the ground. Look down and see if there's a hand on the ground. If none of those are on the ground, it's not a grounded opponent no matter how close to the ground they are. I don't care. I don't care about the optics. It's about the rules. If the rules say that you're not a grounded opponent, if only your feet are touching the ground, then you're not a grounded opponent, dude. I'd be okay if they got rid of the grounded opponent thing at this point because it's ruining fights. It's ruining fights. We saw it in the main card. We saw it on this card or in the prelims. Just get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's causing so many problems. Because sometimes there's knees that land that are illegal and then the fight ends anyway. Sometimes there's knees that land that aren't illegal and it ends the fight anyway and they both get punished. Sometimes it lands, it is illegal, it doesn't get caught, and then the fight ends. It's a shit show. It's a shit show. Obviously, we've had enough time now. We've had enough time to show that referees with the rule set in its current iteration, or its modern iteration, because obviously it's changed slightly over the past 10 years, but it's basically been the same, right? Hand being down means you're a ground opponent, whatever, right? You know what I mean? We've been over this. We've been through it long enough, and we have seen that the referees are not getting any better at telling who's a grounded opponent or not. It really comes down to the discipline of the fighters. If the fighters don't attempt anything near what would be considered illegal, then the fights all go on happy hunky-dory, nobody cares. But the second we get into that sliver of is this acceptable or not, right? This small little area where it's like, oh, their knee was almost down, or if it was, oh, it was just down, it was almost up, and fucking get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of all of it. Knees to the head of a grounded opponent should be fine, unless they're on their back. That's it. Unless they're on their back. If they're on their back, if they're laying supine, I think, yeah, supine. If they're laying on their back, that might not be supine. Now I don't know. Supine might be laying face down. I know to supinate means to go like this. Anyway, if they're laying on their back, I'd be okay if you want to keep it so they can't knee them to the head. Sure. But this whole one up, one down, knee not down, butt down, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Like it's clearly too complicated to handle in the moment, and people are not able to adjust properly. Get rid of it. Sorry, I did not expect to go on that rant. I didn't. I didn't think I was gonna do that. Thought I was gonna mention it and say how it was stupid and then move on, but it is what it is. Trevor Peak versus Mohammad Yahya. Weird fight. Because Trevor Peak, he's just got some weird techniques. Oh, I did want to see the scorecards. Oops, sorry. Ah, look at that. Mokaev was down two rounds. He needed to win in that last round. And that's what I'm saying, man. Who knows what happens if they don't break that up in that position? Does Mokaev get out in that exact position? Ah, god dang it. All right. Redo the timestamp here. All right. Trevor Peak versus Mohammad Yahya. Yahya. I just wanted to, I wrote down, like, let's see if Peak cleaned up his technique a little bit. He did. Peak with the low kicks into start, and he was more disciplined. Peak lands a huge right hand, and Yahya goes for a second. The second, once Peak starts throwing hands, it all goes out the window. Like, his technique is is wanting. Let's put it that way. Peak unloads and then going for the takedown again. Yahya going for an anaconda choke to finish the round. It does make it close to score this first round, but I went towards Peak. I felt like he did enough damage. That anaconda choke, by the way, they called it a darce. It's not a darce. The lock was on the wrong side, right? If the locking arm, right? So if the wrist is going into the throat of the figure four, then it's a darce. If it's the crotch of the arm right here, then it's the anaconda. Anyway, now that I know that, I don't like when they reverse the two, because it does make a difference, and it is a different choke, right? When someone's going for an anaconda, there's usually a lot more leeway. Whereas with the darce, if you get that locked in there, because the cutting side, right? So the wrist is right in the throat. If you get that, it's painful too. It's as the anaconda it's a full on blood choke, and yeah, you could turn it into a neck crank, but usually you aren't getting pain in the neck the way you do with the darce. The darce, it hurts like hell. So that's why I lean towards Peak. When I saw that choke in, I was like, oh, if that's a darce, but it wasn't a darce. So I gave that to Peak, 10-9. Second round, Peak walks him down and tries to unload yet again. Peak lands another hard low kick, and Yahya stumbles. Yahya back up too much. He backs up too much, isn't throwing enough out there. Peak landing way more damage, 20-18. Looking at the striking numbers here, 23-21. It's closer than I thought, but Peak for sure landed more damage. Last round here. Peak works his way through a body kick, landing a hard left hook. Peak throws him to the ground, gets right into the mount. Yahya landing a nice jab as Peak enters. Peak got him down again. There's no reason he loses this. 30-27 in my opinion. I had 22-14. Look at the striking numbers here. Oh yeah, and then they did not interview him. I guess they didn't want him talking about Jesus in Abu Dhabi, because Peak's going to talk about Jesus. All three judges. Nope. Ben Cartledge gave the first round to Yahya. If you don't understand submissions and how close that was, okay. I mean, I said it does make it close, so I can't go back now. Oh well. I think it's an okay scorecard. It's on the fringe of being unacceptable, but I'd have to hear his reasoning, which we won't. Javid Basharat versus Victor Henry. This was a shit show. I hate this. I hate it. Basharat's flag didn't show. Oh, this was interesting. Basharat's flag didn't show on the overlay, the graphic overlay. And I thought Dana White said that wasn't going to happen anymore, that everybody's flags were going to be shown, because he represents Afghanistan. So whatever. Henry with some hard low kicks. Basharat poking and backing out, doing a great job in the middle of the round. Basharat catches a kick and gets him down. They get right back up. The varied attacks from Basharat were giving Henry issues from trying to enter and find his way into range. Henry did find the low kicks, but not much else, in my opinion. I didn't feel like he did enough damage in there. Basharat got that first round 10-9. Now, if you look at the score, if you look at the striking numbers here, 29-25, it was closer than I thought, but I gave that first round to Basharat anyway. Like I said, I felt like he was just not one step ahead. He was just throwing a lot out there, and Henry wasn't able to work through it. So we got to see how he makes some adjustments. The second round starts. Basharat lands a hard kick to the nuts, and Henry drops face first. This is the second time that he got kicked in the nuts. This is the same. Oh man, this referee. This is the Okay, the referee and the judge the doctor are jokes. All right, so Henry's rolling around on the ground, crying out like he's like screaming in pain. Right. Basharat is repeatedly saying that he kicked him in the leg over and over. I believe that he tried to kick him in the leg, and if you watch the replay, he catches oh boy, this is going to be weird. So he catches the inside of the thigh, like as the kick comes in, he catches the inside of the thigh. But if you watch it, it looks like it dips up first and then over, right? So he caught him right in the gooch. Oh my God. And it looked like it hurt so fucking bad. And Henry's on the ground, rolling around in pain. Basharat is not listening to the referee over and over again. Focus again. Come on, camera. So you could be disqualified for that. We never see it, but if you're repeatedly doing things, because normally you'll hear the referee say once or twice, like, "Hey, get back in your corner, no coaching or whatever." Basharat was like walking around the cage doing whatever he wanted, and the referee just could not control the situation. Horrible referee. Let's call him out. Lucas Bosaki. Yeah, the dude was an idiot. He screwed up a fight earlier in the card. Really messed up on earlier. Let's see here. The doctor says that it didn't hit him in the balls. So the doctor tells Victor Henry, he's like, oh, it didn't hit you in the balls. And Victor Henry goes like, it hit me right in the dick and balls. What are you talking about, man? I'm like, this commission is a joke. They wave off the fight and Henry can't get up and it's a no contest. I agree with the no contest. I don't think it should be a DQ. I mean, but the thing is, knowing what we saw earlier, I don't think a point deduction would have happened. So I think Henry, he went to the hospital and had an MRI done. Or no, he had a testicular ultrasound done. And I hope he's okay. I hope he's fine. Here's the thing. I'm glad he didn't return to the fight because he would be just at a disadvantage. We had a bunch of fouls and it did nothing but benefit the person who was fouling in this card. And there were no penalties for anything. You could do whatever you wanted. It was so stupid. Moving on. Sedriques Dumas versus Azaitar. This one was the lack of striking prowess stood out to me in this one. Both guys landing really hard low kicks. Dumas falls on a kick and through some scrambles ends up inverting and then gets a double leg of his own, and then he ends up on top for the rest of the round. 4 minutes and 10 seconds, easy to score. Dumas clearly wins that round. If you want to go damage for damage, obviously, like it's 5-5 for striking numbers. I had it about even. I thought Dumas's leg kicks were just as good as Azaitar's. And then when they got to the ground, he was on there on top of him so long, 10-9. Second round, hard low kicks are working for Dumas. Azaitar landing a big swinging hook as he leaps in. Not the most interesting round to watch. It's very Adesanya-esque, with one person staying on the outside kicking, the other person really only looking to throw big looping overhands. Azaitar catches a kick, lands a few shots to the back of the head. I gave him this round. They didn't call him for landing to the back of the head, so those 20 strikes that he landed over the 14 from Dumas clearly gave him that round. Last round here. Azaitar grabs his hair for the second time. You are not allowed to do that. That is a penalty. DC laughs about it like an asshole and starts asking, oh, man, is it a foul, though? Is it a foul to grab someone's hair? The jab from Dumas staggers Azaitar. This fight sucks, and I really don't care how it ends. It just was it was a boring fight. The striking numbers are in favor of Azaitar, 16-15. He attempts a takedown and eats a hard head kick for his troubles. Dumas should win this. I felt like he did land the better shots, especially including that last head kick. And then DC is saying, he's like, I know hair pulls are illegal. He's like, come on, Paul Felder. You're going to call me out like that? And he's like, basically he's backtracking because I don't think he knew if it was a foul. And then he's saying some people don't have hair to pull. I mean, he might have been joking on one side of it, saying he knows it's illegal, right? But he doesn't know if I don't think he knew if it was a foul. Whatever. Most MMA fans are not fans of DC. Mike Breeden versus Anshul Jubli. Boy. Breeden misses weight big, 3.5 pounds. That's not good. They apparently had a cut that made it so he couldn't do things. I don't know. I don't know how that stops you from losing weight. I mean, I understand that doing cardio, whatever, but I feel like you could still make the weight. When they get into range, it's just a bunch of random hooks. Jubli is better at range with his kicks. Jubli landing behind the ear, and Breeden stumbles for a second. Now both guys swinging for the fences with everything. Jubli finding the mark more often with better shots in this round. 44-29 for striking numbers. Clearly his round, 10-9. Second round, huge right hook from Jubli, and Breeden backs up. Jubli picking his shots and landing pretty much whatever he wants. Breeden has a huge cut above his left eye, and it starts slapping as it's moving. The skin flap. Oh, not great. Jubli landing a hard right hand, then Breeden coming back with 3 hard shots of his own. Jubli getting the last shot in most of these exchanges, but Breeden is still staying in his face and throwing hard. Jubli was slowing down and staying safer and not wanting to get into firefights as the round went on, but he beat him again, 48-29. Great striking performance by Jubli. And this last round, he just shit the bed. Breeden in his face, landing the jab and the hard right hands. He's barking at him, yelling in his face, screaming USA and stuff. And then Jubli just starts panic takedowns. He just keeps attempting takedowns. Breeden continues with a low kick and a right hand. Jubli backing up and panic takedown yet again. Breeden lands a left hook, then a right hand, and puts Jubli out. Jubli had this fight in the bag, and he's like, nah, Like, I'm just going to shut down and totally shit the bed here. Like, that was bad. That was really bad. Good job for Breeden pulling it out. Mohammad Naimov versus Nathaniel Wood. A shit show. Shit show. What a shit show this was. Wood landing some hard low kicks, staggering Naimov. They exchange hooks, and Naimov lands a hard right hand that drops Wood for a second. In the clinch, Naimov gets the trip. It's odd that the crowd isn't booing when they're on the ground. I mentioned that in the top of the main card video. They boo when the non-Muslim fighter is being controlled on the ground, but when the Muslim fighter is controlling on the ground, they don't boo, right? And I went over this, like, it's national pride. I get it. Back in your guy. Back in the guy who represents you and your people, whatever it might be. I totally get that. But be consistent with your booing. If you don't like ground stuff, just boo when they're on the ground, right? Be like Mexico. Be like Mexico City, where you just boo anytime they go for grappling. Damn nose. Let's see here. Naimov knees him in the nuts, and the crowd boos again. They boo hard, and he kneed him in the nuts twice. It is so bad. Wood landing some hard low kicks. Wood landing a right hand that puts Naimov on skates along the fence. Wood gets a trip of his own. Naimov had more control time, and the damage was real close, so the judges are for sure going to go to Naimov in this round. I thought the damage was close. Obviously, Naimov outstruck him. I gave it to Naimov, but it was real close, right? Wood closed the distance, and that kick to the nuts, like that the things that happen in that sequence should not affect how Naimov gets points. So he did outstrike him, and I thought Wood could have done more down the stretch, and that would have given him a closer round. But Naimov won this one. Like I said, close round. Naimov starts around with a front kick to the nuts, and the crowd is booing again. Wood tells them to fuck off. The ref does not take a point. He just gives them a hard warning. What a joke. This is a joke. Wood with a beautiful outside trip. Naimov grabs the fence to stop a stick and spoke takedown. If you don't know what stick and spoke is, it's where you stick your leg in between their legs and go like this, right, to off balance them, and then you're holding onto their body like you're sticking your stick in the spoke of your bicycle tires. Stick and spoke. And Naimov grabs the fence, and then Naimov gets a trip of his own with no damage, but they get right back up. But this is bullshit. Naimov ends up winning this off of control time, to be honest. And that control time should be bullshit because Wood was in a position to take him down, but there was no penalties, no nothing. So it's 20-18 to Naimov. Naimov hits him low again, but they don't get a pause because the referee didn't see it. Naimov gets a double leg, and they get right back up. Wood landing a right hand, keeping Naimov shooting for takedowns. This is where Naimov starts running away. He just starts getting on his bike and just backing up, taking damage. Wood landing some really hard ground and pound. Naimov grabs the glove to stop he grabs the inside of his gloves like this, right, to stop him from punching him. Wood landing some really, he landed a great shots in this round. 39-19, wasn't even close. 29-28. It should have been a 28-28. Looking at those judges' scorecards, I bet you they're all going to be the same. Yep, all the same. And it should have been a 10-8. Should have been a 10-8. Or sorry, a 9-9 in that first round. Or second round. Should have been 9-9 in that second round. Hell, it could have been a 9. It could have been a 9-8 in the second round. The amount of freaking fouls he committed, or penalties he committed. This is stupid. It's stupid. This shit referee. Viktoriia Dudakova versus Jinh Frey. I don't know about this one. I thought it was interesting that they even had a female fight over there on this card. You look it up and figure out your own reasons why. Dudakova find a nice right-hand counter as Frey overextends on a hook. Frey's landing the lead hooks to the body and then up top. Clash of heads staggers Frey. Dudakova landing a nice series of knees to the body in the clinch. Dudakova outlanded her and got the knockdown at the end of the round with that left hand. Clearly her round. 30-16 Dudakova. 10-9. Dudakova lands a nice left hand at the end of a combo but gets taken down. Dudakova kicks Frey while her knee was down in the head and grabbed the inside of the glove. Frey should win this round, but who knows with the judges. So she kicked her repeatedly in the head and grabbed her gloves, but There was nothing. Who was the referee in this one? Different shitty referee. 11-11. Striking numbers in Jinh Frey had 3 minutes and 48 seconds. That should be her around. There's no argument there. 19-19. Dudakova is doing a better job keeping her at range with the jab and the 1-2. Another clash with heads, and Frey's getting the worst of it yet again. Frey landing a right hook and then a hard left hook, but she's just getting outpointed here. Frey not able to do anything, and Dudakova staying safe on the outside, using that jab really well. 33-20 for the striking numbers here. Let's see how they scored it. Yeah, all three scored it correctly. Another time where a penalty could have been taken. You know, a penalty could have been taken in that last round for the kicks to the face. Go back and watch it. You're not allowed to do that shit. All right. Yet again. Bruno Silva versus Shara Magomedov. Okay. Hard low kicks from both guys early. Magomedov throwing a lot of kicks, going up top, going to the body, and using the push kick. Silva countering with the low kicks and the hard left hand. Magomedov looks to land the high kick in tight, and Silva still looks alive, right? But he's taking a lot of damage. And Magomedov kicks him in the nuts, and the crowd boos. I wrote a bunch of idiots. Little did I know that was going to be the story of the night. So he kicks him in the nuts, no point deduction, nobody cares. When they exchange hands, Silva gets the better of it, but Magomedov landing so many kicks. Right, Silva landing some heavy hands down the stretch, but that's not enough to win the round. Magomedov clearly won this, 46-28. Looking at the striking numbers up top, though, if you look 20-16, it's the kicks from Magomedov, 20-5. Right, that were the difference maker. The punching, that was all Silva. Anytime, like I said, anytime they would enter, Silva would get the better of it with the hands, but the kicks at distance. Magomedov landing a nice question mark kick up top into the body, into the legs. Silva catches the kick, gets it to the ground. Magomedov landing some good strikes off his back. And I felt like he did more damage standing up. Magomedov should win this round too, 43-26. Yeah, there was some control time, 2 minutes and 25 seconds of it, but Silva really didn't do much, and he was defending a lot. And, you know, it was a little bit of, it was a bit of control time. But like I said, he didn't really do much with it. So that goes to Magomedov, 20-18. Last round here. Silva takes the kick to the nuts and gets the takedown. Magomed striking off his back, but not trying to get back up, oddly enough. Magomedov gets up with 2:35 left. Silva gets another takedown. Crowd's booing with Magomedov being on his back, but that's half of the Dagestani game. I don't know why they would boo this. This was the very first fight of the night, so I didn't know what was coming. Silva won this last round, even though the striking numbers are in favor of Magomedov. I don't really feel like he did a lot of damage, and it was all off his back. Look at the ground strikes here. It was 12-10 in favor of Magomedov. He was on his back for 4 minutes and 19 seconds. I don't think he was doing anything that was going to end the fight. And then here, let's look at. I wrote it down because they did score it. So all three judges gave that last round. Ben Cartledge, Vita Paulillo, and Daryl Ransom all gave that last round to Magomedov. They were really in favor of damage, but that's not the story of the night because it's the inconsistency in the judging. Okay, that's it. By the way, that was the first fight of the night. That's the last one we're going to cover here. So it's the inconsistency in the judging. That's the problem. It's not that you scored it from Magomedov in the last round. That's fine. I actually understand why you would do that. But if you do that, then anytime someone outdamages someone, regardless of how long they were on their back, you got to give them that round. And you don't. You don't. You didn't even do it on this card. You didn't even do it on this card. I don't get it. And you can look at it like the Khamzat Chimaev fight. You didn't do it in that one. Because Usman should have won it then. Or sorry, Usman, it should have been a draw because Usman won those 2 rounds. Each judge just randomly decides when it's almost like they flip a freaking coin. And it's unacceptable. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. That way you know the next video is coming out. If you didn't watch the main card, the main event one, that's in the last video, so go check that out if you're interested. I appreciate y'all. It means a lot to me. Love you guys. Have an amazing week.